Just show up for the bare minimum and count it as a win. For 2 weeks, I was stuck in the most horrible rut of my life, and that was the advice that I followed to get out. The whole idea of this just showing up mindset is to recognize that even the smallest wins still count as a win. Instead of feeling discouraged because we can't find ourselves being consistent with what we were able to do before, we can find encouragement by just counting the smallest wins as a win. This way, it's easier to build momentum. If you meditate for only 1 minute, you win. If you do one push-up, you win. If you just go into the cold shower and hop back out, you win. You don't have to do these massive challenges to win for the day, you just have to show up for the bare minimum. Let's say you have a habit tracker, right? You don't need to do the most of that habit in order to tick off the box. All it takes is doing the bare minimum task for you to be able to tick off that box. Because even though it's a bare minimum task, you still did the habit. Now, you might be thinking,
but that's the bare minimum task. How will that help me? That won't help me.
Because you are in a rut, and the bare minimum task might just be the best that you could do. You won't be able to be consistent with the full 30 minutes of meditation or the full hour of working out because you are stuck in a rut. The reason we do these bare minimum tasks is because there is zero resistance to get back into the habit. It makes getting back into the habit really easy. Let's say on your habit tracker, there's a habit that says workout. There is zero resistance for you to just drop down and do one push-up right now. You could do that one push-up on your worst of worst days or your best of best days. You could do it if your car just crashed and you're on the side of the road, you could do that push-up. You could do this push-up every day and you could be consistent with it. And that is what you're trying to build. Consistency. And by feeling successful with being consistent with the bare minimum task, we get the ball rolling. We get the ball rolling for you to eventually be able to do the full workout, the full 30 minutes of meditation, or the full cold shower. If you don't start being consistent with just the bare minimum task, you can't expect yourself to be consistent with the hardest possible task. Now, although it might seem counterintuitive to purposely lower the bar and work your way back up, that's the fastest way to get out of a rut.
Check this out. I'll wash some blueberries.
Now the dog wants some. Sit. Eat paw. Good girl. The biggest reason why you can't get out of this rut is because you are trying to do the same things that you were able to do before you were in this rut. When stuck in a rut, people usually fall into this trap of, oh, if I want to get out of this rut, I have to go back to doing exactly what I used to be able to do before. I'm sure you can relate, but when you're in a rut, you want to get out as fast as possible, right? So you try to be consistent with the full task. You try to be consistent with the full hour of reading. But here's the problem. You can't stay consistent. So if you try to be consistent with the hardest task, there is too much resistance for you and you won't be able to be consistent with it. For an example, let's say when trying to get out of this rut, you set a goal to read 1 hour a day. Maybe on the first day, you'll read for an hour. Maybe on the second day, you'll read for an hour. On the third day, maybe it's like 45 minutes, and on the fourth day, you miss it. And not even a week in, you feel discouraged and you give up on reading altogether, and you're still stuck in this rut. But imagine this. What if you set the goal to just read 1 page a day? Okay, not even 1 page, 1 sentence. Something that you know you could do every single day, no matter what happens. Well, that would be a lot easier to be consistent with because the resistance is low and there's no excuse to not do it. It's a lot easier to be consistent with reading 1 sentence a day than a full hour of reading. So the way to get out of this rut is to build consistency with the bare minimum task first. Instead of trying to be consistent with the full workout, try to be consistent with 10 push-ups. Or instead of trying to be consistent with 30 minutes of meditation, build consistency with 1 minute of meditation. So in a way, by doing the bare minimum task, we're going to make more progress than trying to be consistent with the hardest possible task. One way I like to see getting out of rut is coming back to the gym after an injury. Let's say before this injury, you were benching 225 pounds, right? Now, after your injury, you're benching 185 pounds. When you come back to the gym, would you really try to bench 225 pounds again? No, that would probably fucking kill you. You would start off at 185 pounds, then 190 pounds, then 195 pounds, then 200 pounds, and slowly work your way back up. So like coming back to the gym after an injury, getting out of a rut works the same way. You won't be able to do the habits that you were once able to do before, so instead, you need to lower the weight. You need to lower the challenge to just the bare minimum task. But now, to actually get out of this rut, and not just to stay complacent with the bare minimum, you need to apply progressive overload. So as you get consistent, slightly raise the challenge to maybe 2 minutes of meditation, or a 20-second cold shower, or maybe 50 push-ups. And as you get consistent with that, up the challenge again, and so on until you get back to where you were before. And that is how you get out of a rut. Anyways, see you, bro.
No, I'm only giving you this blueberries for content, dude. I don't love you. You're only here for content.